Well, Craig, thanks so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm very well, very
Good.
well. Looking forward to this new year of 2019.
Yeah, New Year indeed. How was your New Year's?
It was good. Yeah, funny enough, I went to a wedding.
Oh,
Believe it or
really?
not.
Who gets married on New Year's Day?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, no, it was nice. It was nice.
Good. Well, I hope you had a good Christmas as well. So, I suppose the obvious place to start is to talk about Cliffhanger. It is a great film. I actually watched it again last night in preparation for our conversation. I do love the movie.
Right, was that the uncut version or the soft version?
I think it was the uncut version actually.
Right.
Well, do you know what? Funny enough, the thing that stuck out to me the most is that you killed Frank. I completely forgot that you're the guy who
I
killed
know.
Frank.
How do you think I feel growing up watching the Waltons? I couldn't believe it myself.
You bastard, Fairbrass. For some reason in my mind, I thought it was John Lithgow's character, but watching it again, you absolutely pepper him with bullets.
Yeah.
Now,
I
obviously,
grew up watching that show, fun enough. I remember it as a kid, it used to be on a Tuesday night at 10 past 8 on the BBC Two. I
so
used to watch it with my mum and dad, and I loved the Waltons, and it was so weird when I turned up in Italy when we was filming, and it was him. It blew me away.
well, that must have been a sort of a strange time for you in general, right? Because I mean, you'd done a couple of films before, and you were sort of building out your profile as an actor. I'm really keen to understand how did that role come about in Cliffhanger?
Well, to be honest with you, yeah, I'd done a couple of things. I did the for Queen and Country with Denzel Washington, and then obviously after that, there weren't many films being made in England at that time. Funny enough, and then you start cutting your teeth as an actor with TV. Anything that comes along. I did a couple of bits and bobs, and then I landed a nice little role in a show called Prime Suspect, which sort of popped and was very high profile. An agent, the agent I was with at the time, had an affiliation with an American agency, and the agent there said, "Oh yeah, we like the look of that tall, tall fella, one of the detectives, Craig. If you ever get some spare time, you should seriously think about coming over to Hollywood." And I was sort of going for a bit of a downtime at the time, and I was like a little bit not depressed, but just thought, you get sort of. I don't know. Even now in this business, you have up days and bad days, and sometimes things are not going as you want them to do, and you get a little bit, I don't know, disillusioned with the business. And I went, you know what, I'm going to go. I got an airline ticket, and I went over to LA, and did some meetings. Went up for two big movies. One was The Bodyguard. I got very, very, very close because they was going to make him. Whitney Houston's original bodyguard was going to be this young flash geezer from London.
All right.
But they went with this big guy from New York, and there were some issues with work visas, and I think Gary Kemp was the only British actor they used in the film at the time. Anyway, cut a long story short, I was like, no. And the agent said to me, I've got a meeting for you tomorrow with a casting director called Mindy Marin, who's like a very, very big casting director. She's very hard to see, but she likes the look of you. So I was like, oh, really? So I get the meeting and I go in. And the night before, I'm doing a little bit of due diligence about her. And then I realised that she'd cast that the director of this film, Rennie Harlin, directed one of my favourite movies, which is Die Hard 2. I always preferred Die Hard 2 because I love any action films that are in the snow. Majesty, Secret Service, Die Hard 2, all of those films. And I was like, oh, God. So when I met her, she told me about the project, but I was just so excited because she said to me, listen, I want you to meet the director. And I was like, listen, I don't care about the film. I make Rennie Harlin. And she sort of laughed, and a week later, it sort of went a bit quiet, and I thought, oh, she's obviously changed her mind. But then the agents called me up and said, oh, you've got a meeting on Thursday, you're going to go along to meet Rennie. So I went along, see, the thing is, the difference about LA is at that time, because I was so naive and a little bit ignorant, and I was thought, I was 29 years old, I was like, wait till they see me, big geezer from London. I was quite excited, and I was naive, and I walked into the room, and I saw it. That was the days of 10 by 8s when there was pictures of actors, and they were like up to my waist everywhere in the office. And I realised that they were the actors they were sieving through to find these 8 bad guys. So I went along there, I met Rennie. I actually read for John Lithgow's role.
Oh, really?
Because I think he had the most dialogue, so I was gauging people off of those couple of scenes. And it went really well. The meeting went really well. I could tell, and he was looking at me, and he was chatting to me. I was in there a long time, and I walked out of the office, and Mindy came out, walked out with me, and she said, "Craig, that you've been in there the longest. I've got a funny feeling he likes you." I was like, "Oh God, that's fantastic news, fantastic news." And then for a month, I didn't hear a thing. I was like, "No, I can't believe it." Basically, I went back, started doing Prime Suspect 2. Right out of the blue, I got a fax. I came back to the hotel, and there was a fax behind the counter, and they said, "You're in the running. You're in the mix." And a little bit of a break. So I was like, "Oh God, that's fantastic news! I can't believe it. I'm in the mix to play one of these fellas, no matter who it is. I just want to be in the film. I don't care if it's a fucking day. I just want to be in the film."
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone, Rocky. It's like doing nothing. And the funny thing was, a little bit later, I got another call and said, "We need you. We're auditioning in London." And I said, "Hold on a minute. We're auditioning in London. I've already been up for the film twice."
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but they want to see some more actors, and they want you to go on tape and read another scene. I was like, "Oh, you are joking." I'd put all the graft in, gone out to LA, and here I am back in London, and I've gone full circle, just like another actor going up for another poxy job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cut a long story short, I've gone up for it. I've had to pick myself out the dumps and say, "Listen, this is your role." Because I'll tell you what I did. This is a little secret. No one really knows this. You're the first person I've told this to. The fax that I got from my agent at the time with Mindy Marin saying, "You have my guarantee, Craig's in the favourite, blah, 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 blah." I said to my agent, "Can I have that fax?" It was a real positive fax in the days of faxes, no emails.
Yeah.
And I went home and I pinned it on my wall. And every night before I went to bed, I used to visualise being in that movie. I used to visualise getting the call that you're going to do it. I never missed a day, never missed a night. Just constantly visualising myself being on that film. So I went in, I did the audition, did a really good audition, came back, never heard nothing for about 2 weeks. And all of a sudden, one night, I'm in the bath. Wife said to me, "It's your agent from LA on the phone." I go downstairs. She says, "Craig, you got it. We got an offer for the role of Delmar." And I was like, it was like a dream come true. Absolutely dream come true. I couldn't believe it. I was like riding high for months. I couldn't believe it. I was doing Prime Suspect 2. It was a nice chunk of dough at the time. And it was, we're going to film in Italy. You're going to be out there for like 4 or 5 months. I was like, I can't believe it, because on them big movies, you've got so much money. They bring the actors in, and you're there from day one to the end in case things change.
Yeah.
And I finished Prime Suspect 2, and then got on a plane, flew to Venice, got picked up, went to the hotel, and the funniest thing happened. I'm in the hotel. It's a fantastic hotel. I put my cases down. It's snowing outside, and I'm laying on my bed. I'm thinking, I'm quite sort of nervous, apprehensive about doing the job. And I can hear this tapping every couple of minutes, a couple of seconds, like tapping on the wall. So I get up, I open my door, and there, standing in the hallway, putting golf, is Sylvester Stallone.
God, that must have been so surreal.
I look at him, he looks at me, and I go, "Sly, I'm Mr. Stallone, Sylvester." I'm like, can't believe it. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I said, I'm one. Well, he said, "Craig, of course I know you are." He said, "I had a final say that you was cast in the movie. I know exactly who you are."
Oh, wow.
He said, "It's such a pleasure to meet you, mate. I can't believe it. It's like a dream come true." I'm catching myself because I thought, I don't want to drive the geezer mad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I just said, "Listen, I can't thank you enough for an amazing opportunity. I'm a young actor. This is the dream come true. So thank you." And that was it. Basically, what had happened, the villa that he was moving into wasn't ready, so they put him in my hotel in the suite next door.
Mm.
And then went for my wardrobe fitting, and we started making that film.
It must be. I mean, when you're the level of fame as Sylvester Stallone, you must be used to people acting a bit, starstruck around you.
Of course.
What was he? What was he like?
Yeah.
Was he a decent bloke? Did he help you out?
He was a decent bloke. He was a really nice guy. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. It could be a slight aloof, but I can understand that. And I'm a little bit switched on. I'm not an idiot. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
You can only drive someone so much madness with small talk. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You've got to know when to pull back. Good morning, sir. Whatever. Because I treated him with the utmost respect. So I think he deserved it. I mean, I'm still a massive fan now. I've got so much admiration for that man as an actor and a businessman and what he's achieved from where we come from. And a couple of days I was in the gym, and he'd be in the gym, and we'd chat, and I just thought, I've got to keep it normal. I can't be like a div around him all the time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then I just started chatting to him, and he was just a couple of times giving me advice about, what you've got to do, and look in the mirror. You've got everything going for you. You just got to keep going. You're here now. If you wasn't any good, you wouldn't be here. So.
Well, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
And obviously that whole film, I mean, it was littered with stars, right? If you think about people like John Lithgow and Michael Rooker, it had Leon in it as well, and so many stars.
Yeah.
Was it quite an interesting shoot when you were there? Because obviously it was completely outdoors, right? The whole shoot was outdoors, and obviously.
No, funny enough, you say that it wasn't, because I'll tell you what happened. I mean, it was like we had about 10 weeks in Cortina in Italy.
Yeah.
And then we had a break from filming, and then we moved down to Rome in the studios at Cinecittà, and we was down there for 8 weeks where they built all the mountains.
Oh, right.
Interiors. Yeah, completely took over the whole studio. It was the biggest movie of the time at that time. It was just had money to burn on that film. It was just because all of the stuff, the big action stuff, is all interiors.
Oh, I didn't realise it was a set. I thought most of it was outside. To be honest with you, that's pretty remarkable.
The scene where Stallone is at the beginning of the movie, where she's hanging there.
Yeah, a bit where he says, "You're not going to die," and then she dies.
The close-ups were done in a car park in Cinecittà. With a blue sky. I was watching it. It's the magic of film is the magic of film. It's incredible what you can do. But obviously, all the big vista shots and the wides were all in the beautiful backdrop of Cortina.
Yeah, it was an incredible set, wasn't it? All the external stuff. What was John Lithgow like to work with? Because you spent obviously you were with him on screen most of the time, weren't you?
I was. He was a really, really nice guy. The funny thing was, Ed Harris was meant to play that role.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then something came up, and then it was going to be William. Oh, the kid's one of my favourite actors. Once Upon a Time in America, played Cockeye. There was going to be him, because all these rumours going around before you go. Oh, we got a little bit of a hold up. Someone's pulled out, or someone's not available, or they've recast somebody.
I read that Bowie was going to play the role. He was offered the role as well.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I read online. And also, crazily, they said, who's the guy from Roxy Music? They said that he was actually... Brian Ferry was considered at one part as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But, I mean, Lithgow was fantastic. Nice guy, very good actor. And for me, don't get me wrong, it was my first American job, first American film. And watching them guys work, their craft, the way they work, and the style of acting, and the way they are with the camera, the technicalities of learning to be an actor on film is a full-time education. You know what I mean? Which never really came to fruition with me until a lot later in my career, because it's a discipline, that type of acting, on the big screen.
Yeah. So what was that like though, Craig? Because obviously you'd gone from being a sort of a British actor to being chucked in the biggest film of 1993 by some distance. What was it like adjusting from doing that sort of television work to them really being in the spotlight? Was it a bit of an adjustment?
Oh, massive. I mean, when I hear the music now, I run, because I just wish I could just go back and shoot all my scenes, because you're young, you're excited, and there is a style of acting, Plus, I stood out in the film because of my accent, that London Cockney thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes doesn't sit too well, I think, in American films. But it's an experience that I would never, ever, ever, ever change, ever, because even now, sometimes I look at it and I think that when you watch these big action movies in the snow, they don't seem to date, because the backdrop and the terrain of mountains and snow doesn't date. Yeah,
no, I agree. I totally agree. It's funny, isn't it? Because,
yeah.
Sorry, go on, carry on.
No, and it's still such a great film. Frank Curiosity, the editor on that film, he was the action cutter of that time. You know, he did all the diehards. It was that style of film that you pop it on now. I mean, I got up. I came back from Dubai a couple of weeks ago, and I was a little bit jet lagged, and I got up and I watched the first Die Hard with Bruce Willis, and I was watching that, and I think, you know, it's still as thrilling as the day it was when I paid to go and see it at the pictures.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Those action films in general, right? Particularly from that era. If you think about
that era,
yeah,
there was something about them that they were just. I struggle. I'm not being funny. I struggle to watch the Marvel films. I can't watch people being punched through buildings for an hour. It just gets to the point where I can't watch it. I want to watch something with a little bit more going on.
Yeah, and I agree that they seem really two-dimensional, those action films nowadays. There's too much CGI in them. There's not enough plot. Whereas if you look at Cliffhanger, even as a plot, like it's got some depth to it, with the fact that Rooker and Stallone's character have had that big sort of, you know, he basically killed his girlfriend at the beginning, or he perceived him to have killed his girlfriend. They've got a bit of depth to them, and they're well written as well. Whereas these new, I agree with you, these new action films, they're so formulaic, and they become really boring really quickly.
Yeah, and so boring, so quickly, and you sit there going, God, it's hard work. I've always been quite fussy with films though, but getting back to Cliffhanger, that it was amazing in it, Stallone, and I look at him. I remember standing in the lift with him. I got invited to a party when I was there, when he got the keys to Cortina. The mayor gave him when we was all invited, and we came down off the ski lift, and I think most of the town was waiting for him to get off the ski lift, because when we was working on the film, it was either helicopter to work, or they'd like a few Hueys that you'd get in of a morning and fly up to the top of the mountain. And then sometimes you'd go up to the ski lift as far as you could go. And I came down with him, and the whole town was there, and he stood on top of the car, and it was just amazing to watch. And it was the best he ever looked. I look at him in that film, and he looks incredible. You know? Yeah,
he's in good shape, very good shape. Yeah. So I mean, but how did you deal with that fame though? Right? How did you deal with being chucked into the spotlight? Because again, I'm guessing that it must have an effect on you. It must.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, I only had a small role in the film. You know what I mean? It was a spit and a cough, but, you know, in the grand scheme of things. But I think what it was, it got a lot of attention because I was another fella who had the arsehole to get on a plane when everybody said don't go.
Yeah.
You know, you're wasting your money, you're wasting your time. People like you don't go to, you know, Hollywood. And it was the smell of the coffee was much stronger for me when people trying to get their head around the fact, oh, this is new fella, you know. So I did a lot of press for the film, and, you know, I was on the front of the Sunday supplements, and, you know, British actor goes to LA, lands film with Stallone. So it was a lot bigger than it actually was, put it that way.
Did you get offered more roles after it though? Did you get more?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. Excuse me. Yeah, although it was a semi-wake-up call, because after the film was there, I went back, I got new agents, new managers, and you start getting shunted around town, and then all of a sudden it dawns on you just how tough a business it is. You know, you're going up for other films and you're telling them, yeah, I was in Cliffhanger, not interested. You know, since that's been made, 4 more other action movies have been made, 4 other actors have, you know, come out and done something. So there was a time in them 90s where, to be honest with you, I just wanted to get into independent films. I wanted to use this because a lot of actors were doing these big Hollywood movies, and then they were going off to do like free straight to TV, straight to video action films.
Yeah. And
I thought to myself, you know what, I could get half a career doing that. I'm not a bad actor. I think I could, you know, get in shape, and that, funny enough, that's what happened. I did a couple of cheapies, a little bit more, you know, a few more. And was lucky enough to always nick a living. Then I'm still doing it today.
Well, eventually after that, there was another quite a big role that came up for you, which is obviously very different from being in Hollywood, but also, like, you know, British TV royalty, which was the EastEnders role, right? I mean, that must have been a different experience from obviously being in the film.
It's about, because the film came out in 92, 93, and shot in 92, and I went into. Yeah, I came home, did some bits and pieces, a few more independent films, and then opportunity came up for some television, and that role came along, and I sort of jumped on it. I've been through a bit of a weird time, you know what I mean? It was like, oh, what am I doing? Backwards and forwards to LA, you know. Yeah.
Was that a good experience doing EastEnders? Because I mean, you know, again, once you're in EastEnders and you're doing that weekly television where you're on our screens pretty much every single day, you just elevates your level of fame, right? I'm guessing that, you know, you then became a household name, right?
Yeah, it does. It does. It does. And to be honest with you, that job saved I've said this a million times, saved my life. You know, I was going, you know, the money was running out, 2 young kids, and you think to yourself, you know, you're not getting any younger. What do you do? And then that came along, and I was lucky enough that they offered me a longer contract. You know, it was a great gig, and paid well, and got us out of trouble. You know.
Yeah. I remember that time in EastEnders fondly, actually. I mean, the character, Dan Sullivan, wasn't it, the character?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
He was a really interesting character once again. I love EastEnders, to be honest with you.
Enough, I was like, how can you remember me? It was 18 years ago.
No, but you were a bit of a housewife's favourite, right? I remember you were sort of like the sort of...
Every 5 minutes.
You know, yeah, the Lothario. Well, I suppose when you're up against, you know, Steve McFadden and Adam Woodyard, you know, exactly. But still, I mean, he was a good character. And then obviously, like, I think after that is where you really started tackling the British film industry, like you say, and you've been doing a lot of work with independent British films, right?
Well, yeah. Funny enough, I came out of EastEnders. I was going to do the Lenny McLean film, and that all fell apart.
Oh, right.
And then I had 6 months, 7 months of nothing. I did a little thing for Channel 5 about the Dome robbery. And I thought to myself, I'm struggling. I got offered all the Celebrity Gets Me Out of Here, the Big Brothers, all those type of shows. And I made a conscious decision to myself as an actor not to do them. I thought, I just can't do that stuff. It's shit.
Why though? What is it? Because I mean, you see this a lot, right? I mean, it's interesting hearing it from your perspective. Where is it a slippery slope when you start doing that stuff, or can it regenerate your career?
Well, I don't know. I mean, my personal opinion, it is a slippery slope. I just think it just puts you in a category of, I don't know, you're not taking serious. It's a weird one. Yeah. But that's just me. The next person will have a completely different opinion to that. But at that time, I thought the right decisions were not to do that. So I went back to LA. Got a new manager, and I was there 4 weeks, and I landed the villain in White Noise 2.
That's right, yeah.
And then I found myself on the set in Vancouver, and I thought, you know, life is weird. Sometimes life is, you know, it's mapped out. I was always meant to be there. I remember walking down the street one day on my own, sitting there looking at the fountain, thinking, here I am in Vancouver. If I don't get on that plane and force myself to come back to LA because there's nothing at home, it's just weird. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm saying to Nathan Fillion about acting and what you're going to do, and, you know, blah 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, I was out in LA, and then I got a call from a mate of mine who said, "Oh, there's this script. It's got your name written all over it," which was Rise of the Foot Soldier.
Yeah.
And he sent it out to me. He said, "You know, with a little bit of luck, you might get to meet the director, Julian Gilbert." And funny thing was, because I'd done the EastEnders, I know what sort of tag that can give you.
Yeah.
You know, because there was a time when people were like, "Oh, you know, he's just a fucking silly soap actor. No one wants you." Do you know what I'm trying to say? That.
But yeah, I mean, but you weren't on EastEnders for you were only there for 2 years, I think, from memory.
2 years, but it was a high profile character.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And people go, as I say, and they don't now. It's an actual plus.
Yeah.
And I met Julian, and you know, cut a long story short again, I ended up getting the role, and it ended up doing really well. You know.
And you went on to make quite a few of those similar types of films, right? Those very British, gangstery, hooligan-y sort of because you know you're an EastEnder yourself, right? That character, not just over in the States, but also over here as well, has become sort of quite fascinating to the British viewer. And obviously, we're looking back over the 90s and all the stuff that was happening in that area. It's become quite a fun character to play.
No, it's been fantastic. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've been very, very fortunate in the fact that I think I've done in that world of those independent films, you know, the low-budgety British thrillers. I've been in the best of them. I've been offered all of them. I've been very fussy in the ones that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Foot Soldier, St George's Day, London Heist, Foot Soldier 3, which I got Best Actor at the National Film Awards. Have served a purpose and put me in a sort of world now at the age I'm at where I'm in those films, and if they're making those films, the audience, they like, there's a bunch of actors that they like, and I'm lucky enough to be on that list,
Yeah.
which I know a lot of actors who don't work.
I don't know about lucky enough though. You make your own luck, like you said. It's not.
I'll put the graft in.
Yeah, and you put yourself in the position as well, right? I mean, like, as you say, a lot at the time, not a lot of actors were going out to Hollywood, British actors anyway. Yeah. And there's clearly an appetite for those films. I think.
Massively.
I think.
But getting back to that, luck. It is preparation meeting opportunity, as the Chinese say. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I've always prepared. I've always put myself in opportunities. I've always believed. I've always dreamed and visualized. I've always done that.
Yeah.
And here I am now. Halfway through Foot Soldier 4. We pick it up again in 2 weeks' time. There's an audience for those films.
So tell us a bit about what you've been up to recently, because I understand there's a couple of projects you're working on at the moment.
Yeah, I've just done. I was out in Spain, did 3 weeks on Rise of the Foot Soldier 4, but this year I was very, very fortunate. I'd use the word luck again, but this was preparation meeting opportunity.
Yeah.
I got a meeting with a director who I really, really book as a very talented guy, as a human being and as a director. He's an amazing man. Gerard Johnson, who did Tony, which is breathtaking. If you've ever seen it, about the serial killer in East London.
No, I've not seen it.
And then the Hyena, which won a load of awards. He's very much into that, really ultra-realistic, sort of semi-Ben Wheatley type, that style of film.
Yeah.
Quite arty in a way, but in a good way. And I was lucky enough to meet him, chat through, and he said, listen, I've got the script, which was originally called The Trainer, which is now called Muscle. And we shot it over the summer, took a break, because basically it's about me overtaking someone's life, literally. A guy I meet in the gym, and I play this character, Terry, who's an ex-military personal trainer.
Right.
Psychotic, lunatic.
Sounds like one of your characters.
Sounds like one of my characters, yeah. But a lot deeper. I won't give too much away, but there's so many more layers than just the rough nutter. Do you know what I'm saying? He's a very, very most complex character I've ever played.
Yeah, we spoke before about him being slightly different to other roles that you've done before. What is it that makes him so different?
It's just so dark, and it's the film's shot in black and white. Gerard's last film opened the Edinburgh Film Festival. He was in competition. He won Sidges. He was in competition in Tribeca. He's these films are proper movies. Proper film. He's an amazing writer, amazing director, amazing guy with actors. And just very, very refreshing for me, because it's a real acting gig, this one. Great opportunity. So I'm fingers crossed. This opens a few other doors. That's the dream and the plan, put it that way.
It's great to hear you doing so well, and I think that it's so good seeing an English actor go out there like you said you did in the early 90s, and take a gamble and it to pay off. And I think that we're looking at a time now where Hollywood is dominated by English actors. I think people forget that there was a lot of groundwork that was put in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s to really make British characters acceptable on the screen in the US. However, it leads me neatly onto my last question, and I think England is hanging on a knife edge to hear the answer to this question. In the film, there's a bit where you say, I used to play a bit of soccer. Now, tell me that was scripted and you didn't choose to use the term soccer.
That was scripted. It changed on the morning. It changed on the morning because we'd been trying to shoot that scene for about a month, and every time we went to this certain location, the weather was terrible. Yeah. And it was quite a dangerous location because it was like a little platform literally on the side of a cliff, which was like, I can't tell you, it was absolutely petrifying to get on there, let alone run around and headbutt and stamp and kick. So I was constantly thinking, you know, if you slip or you got a bit of momentum,
Yeah.
you know, and then underneath that, about 12 foot down, they had a big load of red netting like you get on a building site. So if you did go over, you'd have fell into that netting. But it was still, you know, quite frightening, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Anyway, we turned up in the morning, and when it was really good, and Stallone was there, and he was like, you know, I've learnt all my lines, and then he changed it.
What was it originally?
Oh, I can't remember, but it was nothing like that.
It reminds me of how Americans perceive the English, that line. But it's quite cool. I like the way that he shoots you off the cliff and then says, "Season's over." I quite like that.
Yeah. No, it's so true. But you know what? When you're standing there, Rennie Harlin and Sylvester Stallone, and they're discussing the scripts and the bits and the bobs, and you just nod and say, "Yes, sir."
Yeah.
You know, I'll say whatever you want me to say.
I'm only playing with you, Craig. It's a great movie, Death. At the very least, it's a great movie, Death.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. It's great to have a chat with you, and it's also great to see you doing so well as well. And just out of interest, when's this film coming out, the new film that you're working on?
Well, I've got another little thing. I did a little bit in Scott Adkins' new film, Avengement. I play his brother. That's out next year. Rise of the Foot Soldier 4, obviously. But Muscle, the one I'm really excited about, is it will be imminently, because there's a lot of stuff going on with it. So I suppose, yeah, the first half of the year.
Awesome. Well, we'll share all of our stuff on social media to make sure that our audience are able to watch that as well and able to get tickets to that. So once again, Craig, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure.
And you, mate. Take care. Happy New Year to you.
You too.